I don't have a problem at all with it because it's the truth. It's the truth. Sometimes these voters get lazy, and it's got to be a quarterback. It's got to be a quarterback. It's got to be a quarterback. They have the ball every play. But in a situation like this, if you go into a game and you say Tua Tagovailoa is active and Tyreek Hill is not active, you do not have a lot of fear for this Miami Dolphins team. But if you go into that situation saying Tyreek is active and Tua isn't, and there's a capable quarterback back there to get him the ball, you still got a game plan and you still got to worry because he can break a game open at any time. He has the most yards of any receiver through 10 games in the history of the National Football League. He's having a record-breaking season, and we're not treating it like that because we just feel like it just always has to go to the quarterback. So even in a game where Jalen Hurts is 14 of 22 for 150 yards and no passing touchdowns, where he rushed for 2, we're saying he's the MVP frontrunner, but a guy like Tyreek, who's having a record-breaking season, is not an MVP frontrunner. So that's the frustrating part, is it doesn't seem like anything a player at a different position, even a pass rusher who has 22. There was a year T.J. Watt tied the record for sacks, and he wasn't even in discussion for MVP because we just give it to the quarterback.
Micah Parsons is not wrong at all. Like Richard said, it's a quarterback-driven award. That's what it is. I mean, it's just, AP won it. I don't know what year it was, but he was the last non-quarterback to win it.
It was Peyton's first year in Denver. And
that was some time ago, right? And he did some miraculous things, and he was coming off injury and all of those sort of things. And people, voted him to become the MVP. When you look at Tyreek's situation, he's a special player. I mean, the dude get this much room, his house call. You don't even have to think about it. To the house. I mean, he outruns angles and everything. I mean, that doesn't even make sense right there. That's just unfair to the defense. But what I would say is you look at the record, you look at where his team is, and you look at a Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes or some of these quarterbacks, their teams are set up to have first-round, second-round buys. Or not second-round buy, but first-round buy or second seed. They're not giving an award to a team with the 6th seed. They're just not going to do that. And so unless they win the division and have a runaway and he eclipsed the 2,000-plus yards to make a strong case, he is in the conversation. But the conversation is minimal because if you think about it, Jerry Rice didn't win it. Randy Moss didn't win it.
No.
Okay, Kelvin Johnson didn't win it. Cooper Kupp, the year they won the Super Bowl and he had the Triple Crown, he didn't win it. Okay, Michael Thomas didn't win it. So when you start thinking about it, they're not going to give it to a receiver. So why even think he's going to be mentioned and he may get Offensive Player of the Year and all those sort of things.
Yeah.
But he's not going to win the award. So why even try to fight that battle, Richard? It's not going to happen. They're going to give it to a quarterback.
All right, I agree very much with what both of you just said, and then some. And I'm the guy who always says the position of quarterback is the hardest position to play in all of sports, and I don't think it's even close. But Tyreek Hill is a force I have never seen before, and I saw it firsthand up close back in his college days at Oklahoma State against my Oklahoma Sooners when he wrecked the game with the punt return when Bob Stoops stupidly kicked it to him a second time. But don't get me started on that. He is shattering the mold of what wide receivers can do after the catch because it's just silly. We just never seen this. So I give you all those points as it relates to Tua because I've never been the biggest Tua fan from the start. I didn't like him coming out before the draft. I don't love him now. But I must tell you, now I got to put my Cowboy True Blue glasses on as a lifelong delusional Cowboy fan who has suffered way too many December collapses. I'm speaking strictly as a fan when I tell you I don't love Micah speaking about this because, look, I know he wants to be a sports commentator and have hot takes and bully for you, young man, but you're still very young and your team has still accomplished 0, and your team still has to, in December, go down to Miami to visit Mr. Tua in his house. And that is scary to me because where's the win here? Because I don't care what you say, Tua's not going to love what Micah Parsons said about him. And why risk providing even a drop more of fuel for his fire when Dallas visits? Why give that wizard of a coach that they have, that quirky Harry Potter of a coach, even one line of bulletin board material for Tua going into that week? It doesn't make sense, because I say, where's the win in it? Where does it help the Dallas Cowboys? It just doesn't.
Because, Skip, you say, where's the win in it? It may fuel his fire to go have the game against Miami that he had last game, and not the game before.
Like write a check, you got to cash?
Yeah, write a check that he realizes, you know what, I got to cash this. This is a big game for me. So if I can, motivate myself, maybe I'll go out there and have a 3-sack game against him.
All right, and to your point, we talked about the Giants game when he went zeros across the board statistically, and I felt like I needed to file a missing Parsons report. And then we called him out, and he came back out. And
responded.
At Carolina, he wrecked the game.
He played good.
And I know it was just Carolina.
But he played good.
But that's what he can do. He is capable. And I'm hoping, are we poised for takeoff here? We're going to see it routinely, consistently down the stretch? Well, I hope so. You just have to be careful that you don't give them some motivation they would not have had. And again, if it's self-motivation, you got me. But this is dangerous to me.
When you were young, were you ever called hard-headed, Skip?
Young, yeah. I was called hard-headed when I came out of the womb, because it took forever for my mom to get me out. She said, you just about killed me.
You still are hard-headed because you're not listening.
Yeah.
Okay? Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons. He's not going to change. And I know you say the media and he wants to do. He's been doing the same thing since he came into the league. That's just who he is. You're not going to all of a sudden put a muzzle on him. That's who he is.
And to his credit, Skip, he's a 2-time All-Pro. He's arguably the best player on that team. There's not a person on that team who can tell him not to do it. He's the best player. He would walk into every single one of their faces and say, you gonna stop me? You gonna stop me?
True.
You gonna stop me?
True.
How many first-team All-Pros are on this team that in the last 2 years? I think he's the only, Trayvon Diggs was, but he's hurt. He's not playing right now. So outside of him.
Was Zach Martin, did he make All-Pro?
In the last couple of years, he hasn't been.
Okay, but he's been ranked. I know, like Pro Football Focus always ranks him #1 among the guards. But go ahead.
He's a top guard.
Yeah.
Right. But he's a guy that his play isn't diminishing. And so if he wants to talk after a 2.5-sack game, Skip, and look, I'm doing my part. Y'all want me to shut up? My play isn't dropping. So if you're saying I need to shut up, I got 10 sacks on the season, I'm going to tell you need to find something else to say.
Okay, and I'm with you, Richard. I've said from the start, he is the most valuable player on the team, even above the quarterback, and that's a mouthful coming from me. He hasn't always quite played up to that this year. He's not been quite the force that I've seen him in stretches, but we still have a whole lot of football to play, and I'm hoping he's about to just take off and wreck the league as well as just wrecking the Carolina game. So I'm with you. Look, I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen too many times when these things backfired. We're Tua throws for 400.
It could backfire, and Tua could laugh at y'all as he's walking off the field, getting his post-game interview. That may be the case. Or Micah Parsons could become Lawrence Taylor. I mean,
are you willing to go there?
I'm picking Miami in the game. You don't even have to worry about that. I'm already picking Miami.
That's what I thought.
I think, but the cool thing is, Skip, he has an impact on that. He will get to have an impact on it, and he don't play corner. So you're like, what if Tua attacks him? You know, if a corner says this, if Gilmore said this, or Duran.
True. Yep, I got it. Okay, up next. How does LeBron's 39,000 rank as a sports feat? Biggest picture. We'll go there. No mercy. No mercy. No mercy. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.